applies to the rest of what we talk about, right? We're going to be talking about critical thinking. And the way that we define critical thinking is sorting facts, beliefs, and uncertainty to create useful knowledge. Right? Every day, whether we are thinking about stuff that's in the media or just walking around our own homes or whatever our jobs are, we're constantly bombarded with information. And in order to turn that information into knowledge, we have to do some work. And that work is sorting it in between facts, beliefs, and uncertainty. But all the time, we have these illusions that are trying to shape the way that we see that information. And those illusions are deeply wired inside of us. On an evolutionary basis, our brains want to be able to quickly come to a conclusion so that we can be prepared to look out for whatever the next physical threat is. Fortunately, most of us, most of the time, aren't living in a place or time where we're having to worry about a physical threat. But our brains are wired that way. So it takes some effort for us to sort these, sort facts, beliefs, and uncertainty, because our brains favor certainty over accuracy. Our brains want to find the fastest path to get to an answer and be done with it and move on to the next thing. And they're less concerned about having an accurate answer. So just to sort of continue with the definition phase of what we're talking about here, let's talk about those three elements: facts, beliefs, and uncertainty. Right, so notice I don't talk about truth here, right? Because truth is something that is sometimes a bit more malleable, right? Facts are objective observations that are supported by sufficient evidence. But it may be that I get new evidence and what I thought was factual in the past now changes, right? So the Copernican revolution, where we change the facts of the way that we see the world, or you have some advancement in science and now you learn something about the world that we live in that contradicts what we used to believe. So I stay away from truth, but we talk about facts. These are supported by sufficient evidence for it to be an objective conclusion based on that evidence. The next are beliefs, and this is where most of how we operate, this is sort of that middle ground. This is the bridge between facts and uncertainty. But beliefs are essentially everything about me sort of boiled into my conclusion or my thoughts about something. So it takes my culture, it takes where I was raised, it takes my experiences in the Air Force, it takes what I've learned either from talking to other people or from interacting with the world around me or from academia. It takes my superstitions. It takes all of my biases, my cognitive biases as well, and it wraps them all together. And this sort of fills most of my thinking about anything, right? Anything that's of consequence, or my beliefs, and how I integrate those facts and how I bridge the gap between what is factual and supported by evidence and what is uncertain. And that last one is uncertainty. That is simply the unknown and the currently unknowable. And it may be unknown simply because it doesn't exist in my brain and I haven't taken the time to go and look it up somewhere. Or it may be something that's a mystery of the universe that we just haven't figured out yet, or I'll never know. Or it may be what someone will do in a given circumstance. It's often difficult for me to be certain about someone else's behavior. The reason that it's important to talk about these and to sort them into three different categories is because we need to treat information and treat knowledge in accordance with the category that it belongs in. So if I treat facts like beliefs, it can lead me to bad conclusions. And if I treat what is truly uncertain as something that I simply believe without recognizing that I have some gaps in my knowledge or in certainty there, it can also lead me to some bad places. So, right, so here's a basic exercise. Right, this is a 10-day, actually it's not quite 10 days because it got off, but this is a weather forecast, right? Something that we see all the time. So what are some facts on this weather forecast?
Temperature.
So at the temperatures at the top, if those were observations of what's happening today, that could be a fact. In this case, they happen to be a little bit, I think the 70 degrees there was supposed to be like an hour or so after I looked at this. But what else? What other facts might you see here?
The sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset.
Right. Sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset. Those are things that can be can be calculated and have been calculated, and they're fairly reliable, right? We have the evidence that will tell us, when the sun is going to rise and when the sun is going to set. So what about uncertainties on this?
That's where you get into the forecast.
Yes, right. So
because they don't, they're just using a model or something to make a guess.
yes.
Yeah, but okay, so don't take this wrong,
No.
but when it comes down to it, there are no uncertainties on this, at least as far as I'm reading it.
Okay.
I mean,
so tell me what
I
you think.
agree with what David said, but at the same time, if I see 71 degrees, it's based on all that past data, and all of a sudden it should be 71 degrees plus or minus 3 degrees, something like that. That's an uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see that on here. So,
but I think what you bring up is this: there's a scale of uncertainty, right? So if I were this, and whole is a 10-day forecast, the forecast for what's going to happen on day 10 is less certain than what I expect the temperature to be 1 hour from now. Right, there's more things that could intervene in that space. If I had a 100-day forecast, right, the forecast on that 100th day would be very uncertain. I would have lots of data that could tell me what the temperature has been over the past 100 years, and it could maybe give me a range of what the temperature's ever been, but it's tough for me to put that in between there. But everything between that total uncertainty and what is factually happening at this minute, or could be mathematically calculated, really comes into belief. And probably more importantly is those beliefs impact what I would do with this information. Right? Do I take an umbrella with me on Sunday or not? Right? In this case, there's a 20% chance of rain on Sunday. Or do I take an umbrella with me tomorrow? It says that there's no chance of rain and that it's sunny. But how much faith do I personally, how much do I believe in the meteorologist's ability to make a forecast?